So, CR England did a pay cut, apparently, and it looks like they did it during Driver Appreciation Week of all times. So, I guess what happened was, I'm pretty sure for safety reasons or just whatever, the owner, actually, one of the Englands, came down to my yard in Shafter, California, Bakersfield, pretty much, and it was during the day, so he was talking to all the drivers in the break room. The way my account works is it's a local account, but there are sleeper guys like me who sleep out sometimes, and I got a pay cut for doing that too. And he was talking to all the drivers in the break room that were waiting on trucks, because if they come in the middle of the day and they don't show up ass crack in the morning before all the loads go out, they got to wait for a truck. And he saw this big group of truckers just waiting, right? Employees for the company. And he was talking to them. I'm pretty sure he was just gathering information on what are you guys doing here. I'm pretty sure the owner doesn't really want to be our friend, even though he was playing that off with them. They went from getting paid $20 an hour for waiting to $15. And one driver told me, I'm not sure if it's true or not, that after 2 hours or so, their pay would bump up to $30 an hour for waiting for a truck. And if 7 or 8 hours or whatever, or 6 hours went by and there was no truck, that they just got sent home and paid for the day. That's reasonable. That's totally reasonable, because it's not their fault. They're showing up to work and they're getting paid for waiting. That's good. That's what ought to happen. But no. The England said, no, you can't pay the drivers that much. That's too much. Either Walmart complained about paying the drivers for waiting, or CR England complained. Either way, they don't want to pay the drivers for waiting. Okay, they don't want to give us new trucks, or they don't want to pay the drivers for waiting. And apparently they're not putting any extra pay on the loads either. What used to happen was, if you had to go out and do a backhaul, and the way backhauls on my account work is that we go to Walmart stores, and you guys see on my vlogs, that's what I do, and we get the trailers unloaded, we take them from the DC to the store. And if you do a backhaul, then you stay out somewhere, lay over at a truck stop like I'm doing now, and usually if you asked for it, they would pay you layover. Sometimes they would just add it on. Or if they called you and they needed help with like a load that didn't take off till midnight, and they knew that that was going to screw you over into the next day, they would pay you like extra money to kind of screw you over so you don't get screwed over. And apparently that's all gone away. No more extra pay on no loads, no more layover pay. CR England, pretty much what they want is they want top tier talent for low tier pay. And that's just not the case. You're not going to get that. They rely heavily on their driver school, where they get new people in with no experience. And because of that right there, all of us drivers, we're expendable, because they have this never-ending cycle of new people coming in and out of the door of CR England with their trucker school. So they probably don't want skilled labor. They probably want unskilled labor. They probably want drivers that aren't worth a lot of money, because they're able to bring in a higher profit like that. That's what I think's going on. And maybe this pay cut has a lot to do with that. They know that a lot of these new drivers who they have are under contract, because when you go to their trucker school, you're under a contract. What my contract is after I got my license with them, I had to work with them for a year, and after the year they would pay off the rest of my truck driver tuition, right? And if you leave, you get stuck with that debt if you leave. And there's a high interest payment on that debt. So maybe what they're trying to do is squeeze out the drivers that are too expensive, the ones like me that have been here for a while, that are starting to ask for more money. They'd rather just get rid of us and bring in these drivers who aren't going to ask for a lot of money because they're new. Maybe that's what's going on. They give them sometimes less than an hour behind the wheel at their truck driver school on the road. They'll do backing and 45s and alley dock in the yard, but when it comes to actual driving, they're supposed to teach them how to drive a truck. Sometimes they'll get less than an hour of time behind the wheel, and they give them a CDL like that, and then where they learn how to drive is out here on the open highway. There's a highway over there. On the open highway where kids and mothers and daughters and families are at, and where these truck drivers who don't know what they're doing, and if they don't want to listen to their trainer, they can kill people on the highway. I mean, that's okay if you kill yourself behind the wheel. That's fine, right? But there's families out here on the highway, and these mega carriers are putting these students out who have less than an hour behind the wheel at these truck driving schools. They're putting them out with the trainer, and sometimes the trainer doesn't know what they're doing either. The trainer, at my company, the trainer is supposed to have 6 months. To me, I don't think that's enough. 2 years later, I'm still learning. I think I'd be a good trainer now, but I've had people fall asleep behind the wheel, and I literally had to yell at them and tell them to pull over because they didn't tell me that they were fatigued, right? They got some drivers that they send out that are in their late 60s that are driving a truck. Now, I'm not getting on anyone who's old or whatever, but sometimes, hey, if you're so old, maybe there's certain jobs that you just shouldn't do if you're physically not capable to do it. I'm not going to go and be a roofer when I'm in my 70s, but no, they have people that are about to hit 70 becoming truck drivers, and we got to train them out on the highway where people can get hurt. And on top of that, they cut the pay. So what am I doing right now? Right now, I'm looking for a job. This video very well might get me fired, but I'm not afraid of it. You know, I don't think we should be afraid to voice our opinion. We shouldn't be afraid of our employer. We shouldn't be afraid, just as Americans, to call things out when we see it. If we see an injustice, if we see something that's obviously wrong, we should be, grown enough to call it out and to not be threatened, to not be. What these big millionaires and billionaires want is they want compliant, quiet, silent workers. That's what they want. That'll just take the pay for as little, if they could, they'd probably pay them nothing, right? Honestly, a lot of these corporate giants, and maybe that's why unions are good. Should CR England unionize? That's up to them. Me, I'm unionizing. I'm unionizing my 2 feet, and I'm applying at jobs right now. While I'm still here, I'll be a professional like I have been. I'll do my job. But I've never been the type to just cower down in the corner. If I see something, I say something. All right? And if it means that it will cost me my job, so be it. And if you get fired from a trucking job, sometimes it doesn't matter if you have a clean driving record or not, just for the fact that you got fired, and if it was over something like this, where you're just voicing your opinion. Some trucking companies won't want to hire you, but hey, there's always other things that you can do. A lot of people in the comment section of my videos say that I should go try and find other, lines of work. And I'm not against that. I'm not going to give up on trucking because I think there is a lot of money to be made in trucking. And what these mega carriers have done to themselves is they've turned themselves into apprenticeship companies where all they're going to get are people who don't know how to drive trucks, that are fresh out of truck driving school, that are going to damage their equipment. And it is what it is. And maybe one day the damage will be so much to where it'll really start to affect the salary of these CEOs to the point where instead of taking a pay cut, because these CEOs, these corporatists, they never take pay cuts. They'll close the doors like they did for Yellow before they negotiate with a union or have to take a pay cut or answer to Congress or whatever. They'll just close their doors before they have to do any of that. Maybe that'll happen with these mega carriers, and then maybe, only then, maybe if the ATA takes the hit, because all of these mega carriers are part of the American Trucking Association. All of these mega carriers like England, Swift, Prime, Werner, they all come together and they pretty much lobby Washington for things like this. This hours of service came from the American Trucking Association. This is how they get away with paying their drivers nothing for waiting in loading docks because, we can go off duty. We can consider this a break. Even if we're on duty, we can consider this a break, right? You're on sleeper. Even though you're away from home, we don't have to pay you because you're on sleeper berth, and that's DOT hours of service that they lobbied for. Maybe then, if the mega carriers were to all fold, maybe trucking would go back to what it used to be. I don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. The only way I see trucking getting better is 2 ways. Number one is if it goes automated and there's just no more trucking industry for people to drive, right? And they just take the cake. Then we wouldn't have to worry about it anymore, right? Another thing is for trucking to do what construction did. And, all these mega carriers to unionize is for the Teamsters to come through and stand up for these workers, for these truck drivers. And that's a shame that has to happen. Because being in a union pretty much means that you need legal representation at your job because your employer is such a dictator that they'd rather not pay you. They'd rather take you to court pretty much to where you guys have to negotiate contracts rather than just do good by their workers, right? Am I saying that England drivers should unionize? That's up to them. I'm not going to be around for it. I'm out the door right now. I'm really stepping it up on applying for new jobs, and at this point, especially with this pay cut, pretty much anywhere I go right now is going to be a pay raise. So, is CR England a bad company? I can't say that they're 100% a bad company. This is a place where you start, right? Just like Western Express, just like Swift, Night Transportation, these mega carriers, it's where you can get a start because you need to get experience behind the wheel. And if you're going to start somewhere, you might as well start at a mega carrier because yes, every now and then there's a big chance that you're going to scratch up a trailer or, you know, take out a mirror on a truck or something. Do it to one of their trucks, right? Honestly, if they're going to treat their drivers like this, then they, you know, they get what they get. They're going to get what they deserve. They don't deserve skilled truck drivers. I honestly don't think they do. At my yard, I see the Walmart private fleet drivers, and you can just tell they're more professional. And it just is what it is because they have the experience, because Walmart, you know, they raise the standard to come on with them. CR England, they have low standards, but they want to get top tier talent. They really get mad when their equipment gets damaged. Who's getting mad? The owners, the millionaires who own this company. It is what it is, man. So with that being said, be sure to smash the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I just wanted to voice my opinion on this because, right, if they had to come down for safety, I honestly don't think a pay cut is going to make anything better. I think that's going to make the workers resent their employer and just make things worse. I think there's a better way of going about things rather than slashing the pay. And it just kind of bothers me that these millionaires and billionaires, you know, God forbid we have to disturb them from their yacht clubs and from their golf courses for them to come down and, you know, take money away from the workers, right? Oh, what? They're getting paid $20 and $30 an hour for waiting? Oh, Jeremy, turn around. Yeah, park the yacht. We got to go back to Laguna Beach. I got to go up to Bakersfield and I got to go give them a pay cut. They're getting paid $20 an hour? Huh. Yeah, not on my watch.